Hello everyone, welcome to Collegepedia Google Hangout. So today we are organizing this hangout for students of organic chemistry. So you must be knowing that Collegepedia has uploaded all the lectures of organic chemistry, and students have been asking us about how one should be preparing the different lectures and what should be their strategy in general. So today we have invited Faizan, who is the founder of Collegepedia. Also, he is the one who is teaching most of the organic chemistry lectures. So let me introduce you to Faizan. Hi Faizan.
Hey Keshav, hello.
So Faizan, let's get started with the questions. My first question will be, what do you think organic chemistry is all about? And how is it different from other topics?
Organic chemistry, Keshav, is too interesting of a subject. It's full of reasons and logic. It is very fascinating and very intriguing. It favors the student in not mugging anything, and it's a subject based on understanding and analytical thinking. The front on which organic chemistry stands out from other subjects is that it's neither has any attached mathematical complexity with it, nor there is anything to memorize. Especially the JEE syllabus is fully based on understanding. So it's very important to develop an edge over it because this subject is going to fetch one laurel in our future.
Okay Faizan. So my next question will be that students in general say that as you can also hear people saying that organic chemistry is a very scoring subject, and what is the effort versus output ratio of it?
Yes, organic chemistry indeed is very scoring, and the ratio of output by effort is very high because of two reasons mainly. One, as I have told you already, it's a subject of analytical thinking. So it doesn't have any differential equation attached to it. It doesn't have those mathematical complexity with it. So when it comes to solving problem, it actually becomes better than math and physics because it is logical like them, but it doesn't have mathematics attached to it. So problem solving is very fast. So organic is one of the section in the paper that you will see, which you will glide through very fast once you have done know the basic of it. The problem solving is very fast in this, so the output that you get in the exam with a given input of time is very high. So that is in the exam. Once you are preparing, it is also there also the output versus effort ratio is very high because the beauty of the subject is that it doesn't have much of the thing that is there to learn. The learning section is in initial 15 to 20% of the syllabus. Once you are done with it, the rest of the syllabus, 80% is just the application of first 20%. So it's not like other subject of mathematics or physics. When you start a subject, you read the theory of it, you practice, you learn, and then you move on to the next chapter and you do the same thing again. It's not like that. You learn the rules of the subject once, and then for the rest of it, you just apply them. So once you are done with 15-20% of the syllabus, then you are the master of your own. You can move on to one chapter to the other, just applying the basics that you have already learned. So new things do not come up over and over again. It's just a one-time learning, and the rest of the thing is just application of what you have studied. So in that sense, the throughput of the subject becomes very high.
Okay, Faizan. So my next question will be, students in general think that in organic chemistry there is a lot of mugging involved. You have to mug all the reaction reagent, and they generally tend to leave the whole syllabus and whole part of organic chemistry of JEE to do it the very last moment or very last few days. So is this approach all right or wrong?
And no, 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 no. Mugging in organic chemistry would be futile. And to leave organic to the fag end of your preparation, thinking that there you will mug things up and vomit in the examination paper, will be a self-debilitating task. You shouldn't do it. Organic chemistry is the subject which has to be started right at the beginning of your preparation because it has applications in other branches of chemistry. For example, in physical chemistry, When you study a chapter of chemical kinetics, they teach you about transition state and they teach you about stability of transition state, which you understand once you are very clear with the basics of organic. When you move on to ionic equilibrium, they tell you what is strong acid, what is weak acid, what is hydrolysis, why do they happen, the whole phenomena you understand when you have a good understanding of organic chemistry. When you move on to electrochemistry, they teach you about reduction potential or ionization potential, which chemical has higher, which chemical has lower. The understanding of that is rooted in organic chemistry. When you move on to salt analysis, when you move on to coordination chemistry, those things in the orbitals, they all come from organic chemistry. So to leave it at the fag end of your preparation is not recommended. It's not desirable. That shouldn't be done. So you have to start organic right at the beginning of your syllabus. In fact, organic is the stage, first step that you should take in your chemistry learning when you move at the end of the class 11th or when you move to class 12. So that's one thing. You shouldn't leave it to the end because you will lose. You will lose everything in chemistry if you leave it till the end. Now, secondly, mugging is not required. As I told you before, Keshav, and I'm telling again to your viewers, mugging is not required in organic. And if you try and approach this subject via mugging, then that is actually self-defeating kind of thing. The organic is very logical. It's a very subject of full of reasoning. There are certain sets of rules like we have in maths and physics, and rest of the thing comes very naturally from it. Organic is at par with maths and physics on that front. There are certain things that you have to learn initially, and rest of everything, all the reactions, everything that you learn in every chapter, that is basically the application of that. So there would be certain things in certain books you will not find the right way of learning. Like if you read NCRT book, you may see there just the reactant, reagent, and product, and the mechanism of that would be missing. So you may be tempted to think that this is something that we have to mug up, but that is not the right approach to study this subject. There's nothing that is to be mugged up. What you have to do is you have to build up a good foundation of basic things in organic, and based on that, everything will be built up automatically. Things will come out naturally. You will understand things very innately. So mugging is not required. If you think that you have to mug organic, you're wrong actually on that. This subject does not require any mugging. It's a pure understanding based subject.
Okay, Faizan. Faizan, there is a little bit of noise coming. Is the fan on?
Oh no.
Okay, fine. Let's continue with the interview. Okay. So my next question will be, yes. So Faizan, my next question will be, what should be the general preparation strategy a student should be following while studying organic chemistry?
Yeah, general preparation strategy would be to make your foundation of organic very strong. Foundation, when you start organic chemistry, you start with the basics of it. The basic is basically the electronic effect. So the first thing that you start learning in organic chemistry is the electronic effect, which includes inductive effect, hyperconjugation, resonance, aromaticity, tautomerism, stability of intermediates after learning these effects, and then you have to study about migration of certain groups to cause stability. This is one pillar of organic. When you learn this, then you will start to feel very comfortable with the subject. Now, parallelly, you can also keep learning isomerism because these two doesn't have much of a connection. They don't have to move in tandem. Parallel to the electronic effect, you can keep on learning isomerism and especially stereoisomerism because stereoisomerism is one thing that would keep coming up in most of the reaction mechanism. The orientation of molecule is one important aspect in organic. So stereochemistry is something that you have to clinch with right in the beginning. And after doing this, when you have done these two things, then you move on to the basic types of reactions, substitution, elimination, their comparison, their differences. That's it. Once you have done this much, then you have become master of the subject. Now what you have to do is you have to move on from one subject, one chapter to another, and there is no stringent sequence in which you have to go. If you feel like going to hydrocarbon, you pick up the chapter, read it. If you're having an urge to study alcohols, you go and study that. If you want to study ketones and aldehydes, you can straight away go there. If somebody is teaching you carboxylic acid, you can go to the chapter of carboxylic acid. There's no problem once you have done the basic. But after doing the basic, you can hover from one chapter to other. But the first is you have to bring under your belt the concepts, the basic of organic chemistry, and practice lots and lots of problems based on this. So that is very important. If you do not have a very strong foundation, then it would be actually very difficult to build a high-rise building on that. So bring the basic of organic under your belt. That is first thing. And so that is how you start. And then you move on to the chapters, you study them one by one. Now once you have covered the basic, what you should do is because as you would see, there would be lots and lots of reactions that you have to study, and prima facie it may seem that there are thousands of reactions that's there in the syllabus, but it's actually not true. Most of them would be almost the same. So what you have to do is when you study a chapter, suppose when you have completed the basic and then you move on to a chapter called ketones and aldehydes or carbonyl compounds, what you have to do there is you have to make a note of yourself. You have to write down all the reactions that are there in the chapter, each and every one of them that you can see. Once you have made a note of that, you keep doing revision of the chapter, you keep solving more and more problems, you'll get more and more familiar in the chapter, and sooner than later, you would realize there's not too many things in this chapter. It's actually few of the concepts that keeps coming up in each and every reaction. So as you spend some time in the chapter, you would see and you would realize that is actually very few things. And you don't have now the previous list that you have made of the reaction. Now it's time to revise them because most of the thing will seem very trivial to you. For example, initially when you have studied this chapter, you have written down the reactions, suppose addition reaction. Now addition reaction could be from various reagents. So initially you made a whole list of addition reaction. Addition by water, addition by alcohol, addition by amine, addition by hydrogen cyanide, and addition by ylides, addition by organometallic reagents, and then you make a list of separate reaction like aldol condensation, Cannizzaro reaction, resonance reduction, Baehr vinegar oxidation, whatever reaction is there in the chapter, make a list of that. Now, sooner you would realize that all the addition reaction is of the same kind, and there's nothing new that's happening except for the reagent, which is changing in each addition reaction. So, like the addition of alcohol has occurred in the exact same similar manner, you have the addition of alcohol and amines, and then you have addition of hydrogen cyanide, ylides. Every addition is almost the same. It's just the reagent is changing. The step to write the mechanism is just the same. So now you don't have to make the list of all the addition reaction. Now you can curtail down your list, and in your list there should be only one reaction called addition reaction and the basic mechanism of that. Similarly, the basic of aldol condensation, now you have imbibed the mechanism in yourself. Now in your note, there need not be the entire detail of the mechanism. You just have to know aldol condensation. And the moment you read aldol condensation or the moment you say aldol condensation, the whole mechanism will run at the back of your mind. Via practice, it would come. Now, similarly, Cannizzaro reaction. Now, resonance reduction will seem very trivial to you. Now, it's very simple and easy thing. It doesn't have to be in your list now. Similarly, Baehr vinegar reaction. You don't have to write the entire mechanism of that. So once you have made a note of one chapter, you have to make a second note of the same chapter in which the notes will be very concise and precise. Now the second note is what is remains with you, and that is what goes with you in the examination hall. Now you don't feel burdened with thousands of reactions. Now you understand that there are 4 5 major things in this chapter, and the things that goes in and around with it, you know it innately. That comes to you via practice because there are not too many things. There are very few things, and you have practiced them. So that is something that you have to do if you want to collect everything and go into the examination hall. You have to make a short and precise notes of each chapter. Now there are 4 5 major chapters in this, and you have to have a notes of those major things. So that's one important aspect in preparation, so that you don't bog down, you don't get bogged down with the pressure at the last stage of the preparation. That is very important, and this you have to do right from the beginning. It is not something that will come at the end, because it's a learning process. The note making has to be done simultaneously with learning. Most of the people don't make notes. Initially, when they learn things, it seems very natural to them, and then they don't feel like making a notes out of it. And at the last stage, when every subject gets mixed up, and then the confusion will take its life. So don't allow that to be happen. Note making is one important aspect of studying, and especially in organic, because it seems to be very too many of reactions in there. You have to actually make a concise notes, and you have to actually boil important things down, and that is what you have to keep with yourself. So that's one important thing. Another important thing while studying organic chemistry is when you study a reaction, you know the mechanism, you know exactly broadly what is happening there. Because if you're studying from somewhere, I don't know from where you would study, if mechanism is not given to you, if you're just given reaction, reactants, product, and reagent, you don't accept that reaction unless you know the mechanism. You hunt for it, go to the right places, you find from where you'll get the mechanism, and know the mechanism of that reaction. If you know the mechanism of a reaction, the beautiful thing would be you don't have to memorize it. So it stays with you always, and you will never forget it. So if you avoid mechanism, thinking that it is unnecessary and that's going to take your time, then actually what you're doing is very futile. Whatever you have memorized, that's not going to come straight away just like that in your exam, and especially in exam like IITJEE, they will not pick and choose reactions from your book and give it to you. There would be some kind of catch in there. So in order to cope with that kind of changes that they will do in exam, you have to know the mechanism. And that's the only way of learning organic. You know the mechanism, things becomes easy for you. If you try to bypass the mechanism, it becomes very difficult. So in learning organic, you keep going through the mechanism of every reaction, because in every mechanism there will be few things, the basic 15 to 20% of initial syllabus. That's what will be keep coming up. So you don't have to read new things in learning the mechanism, and it becomes very easy. So know the mechanism of every reaction that you study, and make of notes of every chapter that you study. If you do these two things, I mean, things will come to you, and you will be able to solve every problems that's there in the field.
Okay, Faizan. So my next question will be, as a from a student's perspective, when is the right time to start organic chemistry during the 2 years of JEE preparation?
Like as the syllabus in the NCRT book is designed, organic chemistry actually starts towards the end of class 11. They teach you basic, and there's one chapter of hydrocarbon, and the major chunk of that comes in class 12. You can go by that, there's no problem. But I tell you, as you study the basic of organic chemistry, there is no reason there is to hold you from going further into the syllabus. If you have time, you should study at least 2 3 chapters of organic chemistry right in class 11th itself. That is a good idea, because it's something that you are not dependent on someone to learn, because once you have learned the initial concepts, you can go banging each and every topic of the rest of the chapters that's there. So you are the master of your own there. So I would suggest that if you have time, you should study few chapters of organic that's there in class 12, in class 11th itself, because it's always good to do things early, because you have more time for practice and revision later. But anyhow, if you are very much occupied with your commitments to maths and physics or other portion of your syllabus, the least you should do is you should cover the syllabus of class 11. Whatever is there in class 11, you should know in class 11. When you move on to class 12, you start with class 12. That is the least. But if you're not looking at least, and you're very proactive and you're trying to do more and more, I tell you, you should get started with few of the chapters of class 12 and 11th itself, because there's nothing you should there's nothing that should keep you hooked away from them in class 11. because there's nothing new much to learn there. And second, as I told you before, organic chemistry has roots of various things that you would require to understand in physical and inorganic. So it would be an advantage for you there as well. So that's how you should go about it.
Okay, Faizan. So my next question will be that being a student when you're preparing for JEE, it's a 2 year long process, and apart from that, a person is taking coaching classes and he's also attending school. So it's a very busy schedule. So how do you find time for organic chemistry in a daily routine for those students?
Yes. First, the thing is, if I would tell you that organic chemistry actually should be completed in the first 1 month as you move on to class 12, because the thing that you have to learn, that you have learned already in class 11. Now it's a time for application. Now you should be very ruthless when it comes to apply what you have already studied. So that should be done. But the thing is, I understand when you are going for a coaching class, it's taking already much of your time, and then you have to do self-study as well, and there are other subjects to study as well. But if you have studied already what you what has to be learned in class 11, then moving on to class 12 is just the application. And now the time that it would take you to grasp things that they're in class 12 would be very less. And in order to help yourself, you can listen to the lectures which are there in Collegepedia.in for the syllabus of class 12. Even if somebody is not teaching you, even if the coaching class actually they tend to spread the whole syllabus throughout the year, and most probably they will be completing the syllabus towards the last stage of class 12. You don't have to wait till then. Either you go ahead and study on your own. You pick up a standard book and you read that ruthlessly and you solve problems from various sources and you complete it on your own, because there's nothing that would stop you from completing it on your own there, and there would be no speed breakers on your way. If reading the book doesn't help, you listen to the lectures which are there. They have been prepared. They have the lectures that's there on collegepedia.in have been made explaining every detail and all the mechanisms of every reactions, and they are really easy to understand. So it won't take much of your time. You can just listen to it and you would understand it. Once you have done it, you go through the problems that there, solve them. That is the minimum that you should do, and that would help you in completing the syllabus before your peers, and that is what the advantage you would have. Now if you have a greater appetite, if you feel like learning more, because as it happens, as you study more and more of a subject, you inculcate more and more interest and you feel like studying it more. You can actually collect all the problems of previous year JE and other competitive examinations as well and solve them, because problems asked in exams, they are specially designed. Enough thought is given to that, and always there's some little of trick there. So you try and solve more and more problems which are there, have been asked in previous competitive examinations. They are the best source for revision, and you keep doing it side by side. You learn, you listen to the lecture, you read a book and solve the problems. You maintain your own pace. Doesn't matter what your teacher is teaching you, doesn't matter what your coaching institute is giving you material, you have it on your own. Now you can do it, because it doesn't require anyone's assistance, because you have become really the master of your own in organic chemistry once you have moved to class 12, and provided you have done your work in class 11. So this is something that fetch you laurels in exam. This is something in which problem solving is very easy. This is something that helps you to understand physical and inorganic better as well. So this is something that you should have a focus on, and this is something that you should complete at an early stage of your preparation. So even if you're not getting time to do self-study, just sit back and listen to the lectures. Even that would help. That's what Keshav I would suggest.
Okay, Faizan. My next question is, as a student, we all think that organic chemistry has a very vast course and it's a very big kind of subject. And how should a student prepare to the point to get the maximum output?
Preparation, first of all, it is not very vast, because the syllabus may be vast, because but what you have to learn, what would be new for you, that would be a small section of the portion, and the rest of it would be just the application of what you have already studied. So, but as per your question of preparation to the point is actually preparation of the entire syllabus. That is what you should do, because I tell you, this is an important section of your syllabus, and in this you should not actually compromise. You should not pick and choose and study things, because this is actually going to give you an edge in exam. So the best kind of preparation would be to study it in and out, know everything that's out there to learn. But still, suppose you have less time and you have already reached to the last stages of your preparation, and you want to still prepare for it, then you can still prepare for it. For that, what you have to do is you have to go through the first 15-20% of the syllabus. That is mandatory. Without that, you would do nothing in this course. So study. If you have less time, you listen to a lecture or read a book which presents the theory very precisely and succinctly. You read that 15-20% of the syllabus. Actually master that. If you have less time, at least master that. Now, after that, what you do, you take a printout of IITJEE's syllabus and you see the name reactions in that syllabus. Study the major things, because it has been seen that IITJEE asks many questions from the name reactions. You try and identify the name reaction from the syllabus and you study that. That would save you. If you don't have time to study anything else, the least that you should study the name reactions and understand them fully. Like you study aldol condensation, you study benzoin condensation, you study diol-cider reaction, you study Finkelstein reaction, you study Baeyer-Villiger oxidation, you study Beckmann's rearrangement, you study Fry's rearrangement, you study Grignard reaction, you study Purvis electrolysis, you study Williamson ether synthesis, you study Sandmeyer reaction. These are the major reactions that I'm telling. And similarly, you can find out other from the syllabus. So if you have done this much, then this is going to help. You are actually going to score a majors in organic chemistry. So if you really have crunch of time, then this is the minimum that you should do. Otherwise, you should have to go for full-fledged preparation of this, because this is the important part.
Uh, my next question will be, as everybody knows that we at Collegepedia have uploaded uh, all of the organic chemistry syllabus till now. So maybe one topic we are missing. Apart from that, we have uploaded everything a student wants to know before he appears for JEE exam. So when preparing from Collegepedia lectures in particular, what should be the sequence and should be the topics one should cover first? And it's a very important question because we keep on getting it from the students.
Yes, Keshav, yes. If you're listening to the lectures on Collegepedia.in, then the first lecture you should listen to is inductive effect. The second should be hyperconjugation. Third should be resonance. Fourth should be aromaticity. Fifth, tautomerism. Sixth, stability of intermediate. Seventh, directing effect. Eighth, reaction mechanism. And ninth, Grignard reagent. This is the order in which you should follow up till here. After here, you get independence, because this covers the basic. Now, once you have followed this order, then from here you can go to anywhere you feel like. You can straight away go to carboxylic acid, you can straight away go to the last chapter, amines, you can go to hydrocarbon, whichever chapter. After that, there is no stringent order for studying the course. But order is only till the basic of it. After that, you become master of it, and then you can see whatever you feel like. There is one section, Keshav, like we are working on that. The stereochemistry may be missing on our lecture, but it is in pipeline. Hopefully, we'll upload that soon.
Okay, Faizan. So Faizan will be teaching stereochemistry in next few lectures, and you can see that. My next question to you, will be, Faizan, is that students in general tend to neglect NCRT, and they don't usually study in it a very deep kind of way. They don't go at depths. So how should a person be should be preparing for NCRT? Is it an important book to follow?
NCRT books, Keshav, are very important. They are reference books. They are the book you should keep going back to cross-check that whatever you're studying is in the syllabus. It's actually a touchstone. You should keep looking at it. The whatever is there, that is the bare minimum you have to know. If something is out there and you don't know, then it's a criminal thing on your part. You have to know everything in that book. For example, in inorganic chemistry, that is your bread and butter. NCRT is what you have to follow in inorganic chemistry. But for organic chemistry, it's a little different story because you see, NCRT books are written from a point of view that a teacher would teach students. So they actually don't give little of the details that's there. For example, they will not give you the mechanism of each and every reaction. They will give initially, but for other reactions, they will avoid it. Because it is written from a perspective that rest of the thing, the details which are not there, a teacher is going to explain to the student. But suppose you're preparing on your own and you don't have a teacher by your side, then it would become a little difficult for you to understand to the core everything that's there in the book, especially in organic chemistry. So even though it's a good book, but for learning organic chemistry, you have to go a little beyond that. You have to read a book that is written from a perspective that a student will study that and understand that. So you have to pick up a book like that and learn everything. And whatever reaction that's there in NCRT, if mechanism is missing there, then you have to know the mechanism of that reaction. Now, either you go to any source, you go to a teacher from where you're studying, or you come to Collegepedia and see the mechanism there, or you pick up a book from a market and read that, whatever it is. But just reading the reactions, just reading the reaction, just knowing the reactant, reagent, and product, that is not sufficient. But if suppose you are preparing for your board exam and you need a last time revision, NCRT is the best book for that. Because in your board exam, they will ask whatever is there in NCRT. So if, for exam specific, this is best. Similarly, if you're studying for any other exam conducted by CBSE or a state level exam, you should stick to NCRT, especially because in a very short time you cover a larger portion. If you sit down with other books, will be other details around of the reaction. It will take larger time. But if you're studying it for the first time, actually NCRT would not suffice. You have to go beyond.
Okay, Faizan. So my next question is one of the question that one of our students of Collegepedia is asking. He's Sandeep Nanda, and he has asked is what are the other books, recommended books for organic chemistry that you can suggest for the students?
There are few very good books out there in the market. There's a book written by Francis A. Carey. You can read that. Similarly, you can also read Mersenberg. There's a book specially for reaction mechanism written by Peter Sykes. And the book which I actually studied was Paula Bruce. You can read any four of these, but again, you have to be very cautious that you be very selective in reading these books. You read what is required, you don't read what is required. And for that, the touchstone would be your NCRT book and the syllabus which has been prescribed for the examination. You have to keep that always. Because I tell you, this is a very exam in which you have to have a focused preparation because you have to complete everything in the stipulated time of 2 years. Now, generally, what happens when you develop interest in a subject, you try and read more and more of it and spend more time with the subject, compromising the other subjects. That should not happen. Suppose you are studying Francis A. Carey, you don't have to read each and every letter that's there in the book. What is the purpose should be, you read NCRT, you read a reaction. If you are satisfied that you have understood the reaction to the core of it, you go to the next reaction. There's no need to study the same reaction with some other source. But somewhere, if something is missing, you should go back to the book and study whatever is missing from there. It should be done on a reference basis. You should not try and read everything which is there in the book.
Okay, Faizan. So, one very important concern is when a student is taking coaching and he is reading from that material, students tend to get confused. Should they be following the books or the material, and they end up losing a lot of time in that confusion. So can you shed some light on that factor as well?
Yeah, actually, it's a trait of a good student that you try and collect more and more source and you try and study all of it. But the practical limitation is you will not be able to do everything. If you are doing a coaching and you are satisfied with the material that they are offering you, you just stick to the material. You solve the material, and that should be sufficient. Or if you are not satisfied or you have a greater appetite for learning, pick up one book. Don't buy too many books because that unnecessarily will eat up your time. Because practice, see, it's not required at all. What is the thing is you study from whatever source you are studying, and you have to decide that right at the beginning of your preparation. Later on, you should not discover that if I would have studied from here, it would have been better. Those kind of surprises shouldn't come to you. So you pick up the right source, either it is a coaching material or it's a standard book from the market or whatever. You decide that at the very first beginning stage of your preparation, and you try and stick to it. If you have studied the theory, it's because if you're satisfied with the theory, then you don't need to read any book anymore. What you have to do is collect more and more examination paper of previous competitive years exams and the material that you have already, and you solve them. If you're able to solve all the previous year questions, then it's done. You move on to the next topic, you move on to the next subject. You have done whatever is expected from you, you have achieved that. Now, you have to be more problem focused in your preparation. Try and solve more and more problems instead of reading more and more from books. Initially, initially you have to read from one good source. Either the teacher whom you are learning from is teaching you very well, his notes is sufficient, that's good. If that is not there with you, you read one book, any one book that you pick from, and read theory very good in the first time. Understand everything that's there to understand. And after that, you solve problems. And the best source, I tell you again, is the previous year question papers that you need to solve. If you have solved all of it and you still think you need to solve more, buy a standard question bank from the market and you solve that. But I tell you, don't spend too much time in one subject or in one chapter or in one particular topic. Have a general approach and keep in mind that you can't miss out in any one area of JEE because questions are covered from mostly all the portions. So your target is not to do masters in organic or in physical or in maths or physics. Your target is to cover the entire syllabus. So keep the track of time, how much you have in time, how much you have time in your hand. So I would suggest pick up one source and stick to it and solve more and more questions of previous years, previously asked in other competitive exams and institutes.
Okay, Faizan. So, I would like to tell the viewers that we are right now in the process of uploading Vedic mathematics lectures. So, Vedic mathematics in a way, what we are seeing is you will be able to solve the mathematical multiplications and addition in a very different way, which is much faster. So, we are trying to upload that those lectures on every Friday. So, do check them out. Apart from that, Faizan, can you let us know what are the topics that you will be covering next for the student?
Yeah, presently, as I told, stereochemistry would be coming up in the organic section that would complete it. And apart from that, we are working on class 11th physics. And we have already made the initial lectures on calculus, on vectors, on relative velocity, Newton's law and friction, and they are the one which will be coming from my side. Apart from that, we'll try and complete sooner the rotation, waves, and SHM. So I've been working on the physics of class 11, so you can expect more of that coming days.
Okay, Faizan. Uh, so maybe I think this lecture, this session in particular, would have been very helpful for the students. And maybe in future we can do similar kinds of sessions for different topic wise, and we can go in depth for different topic.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining us, Faizan.
Thank
Uh,
you, Keshav.
so
Thank you,
we will
everyone.
we will be conducting such sessions more hopefully. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Faizan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.